What does it take to, live a really authentic life? I mean, to really have that courage to live full out the way that you really want, and the way that your life was meant to be. I've got the perfect guest for you today to be able to experience that, and we're going to meet him in just a second. Hi, I'm Paula D'Andrea for Rock Your Life TV, and if you're looking for a little bit of an edge to your personal development, you're in the right spot. This show is really about giving you tips and techniques to be able to get unstuck in your life, to live without limitation, and to live, exactly the way that you want, without anything getting in the way. How great would that be to get up every day full of energy, be doing the things that you love, and really bringing the best of you to your life and to, everyone that you come in contact with. When you finish watching, head over to pauladandrea.com/RYLTV, and you can pick up my Fit Guide, and that will definitely put you in the right direction to start, exploring the different sides of you that you may feel a little bit stuck in, how you can improve certain areas of your life so you really, just round it out. Bring yourself into that harmony where everything is coming together, you're in alignment, you're really going to be able to rock your potential so that you can live your possibility. And that's the best that you can do in life, to rock your life. And today's guest is Christopher Rausch. He has probably one of the most straightforward approaches to anyone I've ever seen and had the experience of. He is the creator of the Kick-Ass Guide to Life, which is really fits so well with the Rock Your Life message, because it's really about being your best in your personal and your professional life. Chris brings, his heart to everything that he does. He is just a no BS approach to telling it like it is, and he's got an amazing story. You're absolutely going to love him, and I'm so excited to have him here today to be able to share his story with me and with you. So, Christopher, thank you so much for being here on Rock Your Life TV. Happy to have you.
Awesome, Paula. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm looking forward to a great show.
Yeah, me too. I've had the pleasure of being on your show, and I can honestly say that I do love those things about you that. You can tell that you have that really big heart, and your delivery is just like boom, straight to the point, no holding back. And if that totally complements what I just said about living your life with courage and with authenticity, tell me a little bit about how that part of your character came into being, Chris.
Well, again, thank you very much for having me on the show. That's a really great question, Paula. That part of my character came into being through life's journeys. It's interesting how we watch other people, and we have heroes and we have models that we look up to, and how sometimes that changes as we get to know people better. And I've always been a no BS kind of guy, and I had to go through different iterations of that, because at one point I was like, here's my thoughts and here's what I'm going to say, and I'm not even going to think about what it is. I'm not going to use my filter. And then I realized, okay, what's the outcome of that? Oh, okay, I'm going to irritate people. I'm going to piss people off. I'm not going to get any friends. Obviously the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, amazing book. Mm-hmm. But still I wanted that straightforward approach and that honesty and that authenticity, because I think, actually I don't even think, I know it's missing today. You look at some of these speakers and you look at some of these people up there, and they're saying one thing, and then out of the side of their mouth they're just saying something else. And I just love the fact that when people can just be honest and not antagonistic or mean or anything, but just be heartfelt and just be honest and say what's going on. I think that's a great character trait that a lot of people should have.
I love that, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, it is. I think that as soon as you open your mouth, too, and I'll say that to you specifically, people know exactly what they're getting and who you are, and that is definitely a. I have no idea what that.
That's the universe. That's the universe saying, this is going to be a kick-ass show. This is awesome.
The universe is saying, right on, you're on to something, and everybody should, that's what the Rock Your Life message, get out there, be authentic, have courage in your life to really go for it.
Yeah.
And thanks for that. Is that, getting back to your point, is that what other way? I think that's mostly what people come into. They come into that point in their life where they may have had a tough journey earlier on, and I'd like to share yours in just a second, where they were shaped in such a way, and probably there were aspects of themselves that really got a little bit smaller, that got a little quieter because of this big event that was happening for them, and then they just kept that became their status quo, and then all of a sudden they get to a point in their life and they go, whoa, this doesn't work for me anymore. So I want to ask you to please share part of your story, and when you got to the point in your life where you said, whoa, this doesn't work for me anymore.
That's a great question, Paula, and and I will try my best to keep it as encapsulated as possible because there's so many different variations. Long story short, grew up with just my mom. I never knew who my dad was. I didn't call him my dad. I call him my sperm donor. I never knew who he was because he was married and had a family of his own. You could put the pieces of the puzzle together and what happened next. But yeah, he found out my mom was pregnant and hit the road because he didn't have his girlfriend anymore. So growing up with her, my mother had various psychological disorders, drug dependencies, alcohol dependencies, and so there was never really a family kind of feel to the situation. I have a half-sister who, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't talk to anymore. I wish her all the best. Mm-hmm. And so having a traditional childhood never really happened except for parts and points in between. Fast forward, living in Southern California, having somewhat of a normal life, and we all have those days where our lives changed, and whether it's a parent dying, something horrific happening, an accident, something. For me, it was May 10th, 1982, where I went from being a middle-class kid, going to junior high school, getting in all sorts of trouble, to being a homeless 7th grade dropout, living in the backseat of a station wagon. And if that wasn't bad enough, there were 18 cats and 4 dogs accompanying us. My mother was a major, major animal hoarder, loved animals, took care of them. But when we lost the house because she was trying to spend money to save a cat, that's when we had to move into the family station wagon because she would not get rid of the animals. So for the next 4 years, it was in and out of motels, in and out of the car, on the streets, drugs, gangs, violence, stealing, 2 attempted suicides, but fortunately I sucked at it. And it came to a point, Paula, where I was sitting on the stairs of this motel and I was watching the drug trafficking going on and I was watching the prostitution, and I had an opportunity from a friend of ours to get an apartment with a couple of buddies of mine. And I came back and I talked to my mom and I said, hey, Mom, I can get out of this place and I can start a life and I can, because I was going downhill fast. I was either going to wind up like them in the motel or I was going to wind up dead. You would think a mom, after having your kid on the street for 4 years, would say, go and live your life and be happy. Sadly enough, she said, no, you're a a-hole, you're all these different things. And I sat on the steps and I thought, if I stay here, I'm going to die or wind up in jail. So I had to take, and this is one of my core beliefs that I've learned, is you have to take care of yourself. And it's not being selfish. So I decided to move out of the motel, but I never left her. And so that's the really big point where my life changes. I just decided that I come first, and then when I take care of myself, I could take care of other people so much better, and I did.
Wow, that's really, really powerful, Chris. I'm just kind of taking that all in. And again, how old were you at that point in your life?
May 10th, I was 13 years old, and when I moved out of the motel, I was about 17, 18.
Wow. Talk about courage and being able to be a support system. So how is that, in your words, because I can kind of, come up with my own summations, but now knowing, as a coach, as someone who gets on and has created the Kick-Ass Guide to Life, what are, the straightaways that went right into that program and in developing that and who you were?
One of my core things, I have my core beliefs that I have that I teach. I'm trying to find a better way of using it, but there's these core nuggets that I have, and one of those is that you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And for me, looking at my life in different spots, because I've had my ups and downs, as we all have, when you ask that question, am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution? And we answer that honestly, and we don't have that victim mindset, that's when we can really begin to affect change. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm miserable, I'm suicidal, I'm doing drugs, I'm in gangs, I'm all this other stuff. So unless I become part of the solution, and that takes, like you said, courage, and thank you for that. And it takes sacrifice. I mean, when I was a 7th grade dropout, and I actually went back to school and went back to college, we have to really do that. So you have to ask yourself, am I part of the problem or part of the solution? But also another one of my core things is that, am I a victim or am I a victor? And a lot of people have that victim mindset where they're just like, oh, well, poor me, and oh, my mommy beat me, and oh, I was physically abused, and I was a latchkey kid, and all these different. I could have been the spokesperson for victim. I easily could, and I was like, no. And I started reading books and learning about what it takes to overcome adversity. I was infatuated with it. I was like, okay, no, my life is not going to end like this. And I'll tell you something. I haven't told too many people this. There was one point where I was laying on the back seat of that station wagon. And I'm not being dramatic, but I'm just trying to paint the picture. The vinyl seat was cold. There was cats everywhere. And I just remember laying there crying, saying that one day I'm going to own a house and I'm never going to be homeless again. And it takes all those different philosophies that we have to learn about ourselves and be able to put out into the world. That takes a lot of strength.
Wow, yeah, I love that. And you have a lot of strength, and you have a lot of you just kind of like leap out with that victor type of mentality. Your story is, as we continue, because I want to go into the success part, is definitely that of a hero. What I would say for anyone, what words right now could you give? You've really shared a lot up to this point, but I mean, like, really hit it the nail on the head, where someone is in that point where they're just feeling like there isn't any way out, and to really flip the switch for them. What is, speaking from your heart, what is the absolute best thing that you can say right now to them to really get them to move forward, to see themselves as a victor rather than a victim?
Paula, that's an awesome question. I would say to you guys, you are only limited by the parameters of your own mind. I'm going to say it again. You are only limited by the parameters of your own mind. It goes back to what Henry Ford said years ago. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that is what I would say to people. Always, always believe in yourself, and always try new things and look at different places, because if you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. And that is one of the greatest quotes of all time. I believe it's Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm. And as a kid too, yeah, I know that sounded familiar to me. As and I want to say it especially too, because my heart, I also had, not as severe as yours, but just everybody has that part to them when they're growing up that are really, really tough, whether it be in an abusive environment or just sometimes it is hard to see that at 11, 12, 13. Because you're still younger, you aren't capable of, really providing for yourself. And I love that you turn to books and you turn to motivation. What are some other things that also, I don't know, did rock enter your life at that point? Like, what are some of the other influences, positive influences that you have that you could encourage a younger person as well as an older person to really maybe help pull them forward a little bit more?
Paula, there were two things for me, and you just hit one of them. Music. I immersed myself in music. I tell people I was vaccinated by a phonograph needle, because from the time I was just a little kid, I remember music. I remember Carly Simon, Simon and Garfunkel, Otis Redding. I remember all the old-time soul, rhythm and blues, and all the different music. And I remember sitting by the phonograph, just listening and losing myself in the music. And I can't really show you right now, but I've got all sorts of musical tattoos over me that are that react to how they affected me. There's actually a song, the musical notes on my arm is "Drift Away" by Dobie Gray. Give me the beat, boys, to free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. So I used music, and
I was just looking at those lyrics yesterday.
Well, I don't think
possibly you can post from my
we'll try to do a
yeah, show us a quick. We need to show off those tats.
So there's the musical notes. There's actually a microphone right there plugged into my arm. There it is, and then there's a guitar on the other one. So for me, music always has saved my soul. And again, that's not to sound dramatic, but I just, whenever I'm down, it's like I go to an uplifting playlist that I have. But another thing that really helped me out was working out, getting outdoors and riding my bike or going for a walk or going to the gym and really taking care of myself. Not because we can do two things. We can either inebriate ourselves and escape things, or for me, it was working out. It's like I got to go work out and work off my stress and, obviously look better and be healthier. So those two things really helped me in the times where, I wasn't reading books, and just to help me overall.
Mm-hmm. I love it because, self-care is so important, and, there are those times in your life where you may feel at a huge loss, and a lot of times people are thinking the worst, and it is so easy to start spiraling down and just really go into that darkness and get lost there. And the thing about it is find little things that you can do to start adding on and start building out your self-care. As a matter of fact, I know that you have part of that too, Chris, in my Fit Guide, which will remind viewers, pauladandrea.com/RYLTV when you finish, to get on the VIP list so that you're a guest and you don't miss any of these issues, these episodes, because Chris is such a great guest today. And also just to get that so that you can start making those little improvements that bring more light and love into your life, so that you can really, really get to the heart of you to be able to live in your potential, rock your possibilities, and be living the life that you were meant to live. This is, thank you so much for bringing that up, Chris, because this is the core of what both of us do, and it really is the message of Rock Your Life TV, is to celebrate life, to live in it fully, to be able to love yourself on all different levels, everything that you've been through, good and bad, and you know what, let's face it, it sucks. When you're going through crappy, situations, it isn't any fun. The thing about it is that you can turn inward, and when you need to, find one of those icons, a musician, a specific song, a book, some type of message that is positive to you, that is going to help you keep, following forward and being able to see that light. That is one of the biggest things. So it sounds like you definitely had that in the back seat. On that cold vinyl, with the cats and everything else that you were putting up with, and that if there is one thing that you can hang on to pull yourself forward, that's it. So now we heard that part of it. What I'm totally amazed by too is the success that you've had in your life, and I want you to please continue your journey and bring us right into your success mode as well.
Sure, thank you. And I love how the fact that we're so similar. I really appreciate that, because I get interviewed by a lot of different people, and sometimes they're interviewing me, but I know they don't get it because they don't have those experiences. So it's really cool to be here.
Sure.
Where I'm at, like I said before, I dropped out in the 7th grade, and when I was dating my girlfriend when I was about 17, 18, her dad looked at me and said, "Are you going to go back to school, son?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of too old to go back to school. I don't know what I'm going to do." I was doing telemarketing. And he's like, "Well, you can go back, get what's called a GED." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" And he said, "General Equivalency Diploma." And I said, "Okay, sure." And I figured, well, if I'm gonna continue dating his daughter, I probably should do something that makes it look like I'm trying to make something out of my life. So I went back and went back to continuation school, and surprisingly made up all of high school in 6 weeks. Took my GED, passed it, and I was like, "Okay, cool. What can I do now?" And I thought every person that I had started to study had gone to school. So I said, well, I'm just going to go to community college, and I'm going to enroll in a class, and I'm going to see what happens. And I enrolled in interpersonal communication, which is one of the greatest classes I ever took, because when we have our communication skills, that is just paramount. So I went back to school and got my associate's degree, got my bachelor's degree, and I said, all right, I'm a long-haired rocker, kick-ass kind of guy. What else am I going to do? And I said, screw it. I want to be that guy that has a master's degree. Went back to school again, went to University of Phoenix and did the accelerated courses, and got my master's degree the same year I bought my first house, which was in 2000. So yeah, that's part of the success journey.
Congratulations, Chris, and you truly are an inspiration. Could you tell people what you've got waiting for them at your website?
Absolutely. Yeah, ChristopherRausch.com, R-A-U-S-C-H. Christopher Rausch over there, we have 160 tips for living your kick-ass life. It's a free download. Encourage you to go over there and check it out. It is not for the faint of heart as far as language goes, because I am a very straightforward person. So if you appreciate stuff that rhymes with truck and stuff like that, it's all for you. If you don't, then it's not probably the place for you to go. I always give that disclaimer out. And then you can find out more about my journey. You can find out all about me on social media, my YouTube page, Facebook. Would love to connect with you. But yeah, that's where you can find my blogs also.
Nice. Cool. And so Chris is definitely a good person to stay connected with, too. We need that little bit of that little dose of reality. And when you're feeling really, bad about life, maybe a little bit sorry for yourself, you may want to, hook up with Chris so that you can always get that little oomph that you need, that little bit of a kick-ass. So give us, your best, let's say your favorite top 3 kick-ass motivators.
My 3 top kick-ass motivators. Number 1, belief inspires reality. We have to believe that we deserve and that we can attain whatever it is that we want in life. If we believe that we're not worthy, if we believe all the other things that other people said about us, then our life is going to be crap. If you listen to all the things about what your parents said or your teacher said or your friends said that you would never be good at, you're going to continue to look for things that support that. So you have to believe. You have to believe in yourself, even if it means disconnecting yourself from the toxic people around you. And like I talked about with my sister before, I wish her all the best, but she's a very toxic person. So belief inspires reality. I would say another thing is, I tell people trying plus learning is where some people think about mistakes being, okay, mistakes are bad, and it goes back to the agreements that we made when we were kids. So when you think about trying new stuff and learning new stuff, I really want you to look for what the value is if something doesn't go right. Now, I don't say goes wrong because we've never done something before, but really look at the value of what I can learn in this moment because I took a chance to try to get better at whatever it is I'm doing or improve my life. The comfort zone sucks. It's all about, am I going to be living or am I going to be existing? And a lot of people are existing. And I actually know this for a fact. There was a study put out by a hospice nurse that said, what are the top 5 things that people dying are regretting? And the number 1 thing, and I already knew this, and it was beautiful to see it supported, is that they lived the life that they thought they were supposed to live. They did not live the life they wanted to live. Whether it was because of their sexual orientation, their religious beliefs, their political beliefs, running the family business, doing all these different things, getting caught up in money and fame and everything else. Just live your life the best way you can and just be authentic about it. And my last one,
Bravo.
My last one's going to be a relationship tip. Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? It's amazing. We're grown up as kids that we believe if we're right, yay. If we're wrong, bad. And that stems and that takes off into our life. And what do? Every time somebody comes at us, we want to protect ourselves and say that we're right and we're not wrong. But you got to ask yourself, do I rather be happy than right? What happens when I put somebody on the defensive? What is that going to do? They're going to get defensive. They're going to attack me. So then it's a vis-a-vis attacking thing. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what? I want to be happy in this particular moment as opposed to being right. And that goes for your coworkers. It goes for your personal relationships. It goes for your friends. Just sit there and sit back and go, you know what? I don't need to be right this time. I know I'm right, and I'm not going to go for the argument. So those are my 3 kick-ass tips for you this morning.
I love it. Thank you so much, Chris. I really, really appreciate it. Those were awesome. We will put those through, and those are included in your guide as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Those are in. Can you give that your website one more time and just recap the gift that is there?
Sure, absolutely. Again, thank you. It's just simply ChristopherRausch.com, R-A-U-S-C-H. I'm trying to come up with a little jingle that gets people to remember R-A-U-S-C-H. And then you just go over to the right-hand side of the site, and you're going to see 160 tips for living your kick-ass awesome life, and you will find everything in there. It ranges from teamwork and leadership to personal accountability. It's just everything. It's actually part of a book that I'm doing called, here, we'll just do a little plug. 69 Tips for Living Your Kick-Ass Life, Volume 1. It's kind of like life's little instruction book, but for kick-ass people. So it's just really a conversation between me and you over a cup of coffee or a beer or a lot of beers, about what it takes to live a kick-ass life. So I've taken those tips that are in the download, and I'm expounding upon them in the book so that it's just really a conversation between me and you like this is, so that you can just go, wow, okay, this is cool, this is fun, and I can do it. Because at the end of the day, if I can do it, if I can go from being a homeless 7th grade dropout, living on the streets, doing all the things I was doing, to now owning 2 houses, being in my career for 21 years, launching this business, being a speaker, being a radio show host, being a coach, doing all these things, being a volunteer for at-risk kids, you can do it too. You can. There's no excuses. No BS.
I love it. Chris, you are definitely kick-ass. You are awesome, and you're one of my favorite new heroes. Thank you so much for joining us here on Rock Your Life TV. I really, really appreciate it. You stood and you delivered. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. You rock, baby. You rock.
Absolutely. This is Paula D'Andrea for Rock Your Life TV. Remember to head over to pauladandrea.com/RYLTV. Pick up your free gift there and get on the VIP list, because we've got more great guests like Chris coming up, and you don't want to miss a beat. Thanks for watching.